All right. All right. Everyone excited. All right. So I'm going to get this good party started right now. All right. So excellent. So what is this? What are we doing here for this webinar? So this is actually a really exciting webinar because this we kind of a little bit of tongue in cheek finally finished 5.11 firmware. This firmware has been in development for quite some time. We are very excited. I cannot tell you, and we're going to get to this in a little bit, how much time and effort has gone into this bad boy to make it, really to the point where we're happy with the quality and basically state in which it exists. And the great news is that even though this has taken us quite some time to get 5.1 out there, it has not at all slowed us down for working on other firmware within our system. So 6.0, for example, is on the cusp of release. We've done a lot of things this year actually with regards to product releases. We have a lot more coming, and I think you guys are going to be super excited. But this is definitely a phenomenal release because it's not like, we could have certainly released things a lot sooner, but we wanted to get it to the point where we're very comfortable. We're comfortable with the stability of status, and I'll cover that in a little bit. So anyway, thanks for all your patience, and so we're pretty jazzed to get into this. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, there's kind of three main areas, and you'll actually see this on our website. So if you click on the 5.1 firmware release, if you go to like our website updates, you'll notice that we have done a lot to try to organize the content with regards to the main equipment, right? So that's kind of the main core equipment that we offer: 18R2 modules, audio box, you name it. And that core equipment obviously has firmware that gets loaded onto it. Now, as we're releasing new firmware, alongside of that, with new features comes changes to things like Cobra Show Creator and the Cobra Control Panel. So in addition to talking about some of the core main equipment improvements that we've made, we're also going to talk about improvements that we've made to Show Creator and the Control Panel software. Now, before we get into a lot of these details, we're going to talk a little bit about what the firmware release process is for Cobra. And it's really, really important to mention that Cobra, we are probably more conservative than most industries with regards to I guess two things. Number one, the level of care that we put into the software for the obvious perspective of safety, right? And also transparency to where the software is and kind of where we stand, and also allowing for our clients to be part of that process. And so, with 5.1, even, we spent quite a lot of time within the beta phase, and from there, essentially, we've put out what we are referring to as essentially a stable release candidate, okay? And effectively what a stable release candidate means, and there's actually a section of our website here that we'll be linking within the link of this video, because this is going to go up to YouTube. We provide a link to kind of the firmware release process within Cobra. And a stable release candidate essentially means that we are not aware of any defects within the software, right? However, due to the fact that we've introduced a lot of kind of improvements, fixes, and changes, very targeted and very calculated changes, we still want to give the software a little bit of time in the field, get it through several thousand shows so that we can make sure that if there are any final tweaks, that those are sent out as another release candidate. But we believe that we are right on the cusp of officially calling it stable, where we would have no really known technical issues within the software. Any of our beta release candidate or stable releases, obviously they are completely fine for production use. We're fine with you using them in paid advertised shows. It's not a problem. It's just that we're being extremely careful, very transparent, and throughout this process for obvious safety reasons and reliability reasons. We did put a couple of pictures in here just so you can see this.
Hey, Scott, real quick. Sorry, everyone's having trouble seeing your screen. Share the Ring Central and not the whole desktop. Get it less blurry for people. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Is this any better for everybody? I hope.
Yes, much better.
It's better?
We're off to a good start. Yeah, it looks good.
Three and a half times.
Okay, we'll take that's a good metric. Okay, I am back. Okay, cool. All right, so is chat happy? It looks like I haven't lost everybody yet. So, all right, I'm good, guys. Feedback, please. I'm good.
Yes, you can read it.
Okay, good. Everyone, interrupt me if sorry for that technical. Okay, cool. So anyway, a couple of cool screenshots here. These are a lot of our test facilities that we do here up in upstate New York. So we're talking large sets of modules all hooked up to power supplies and logging systems. These are all remotes that we have set up connected to another logging output. We commonly run these types of tests overnight. And then in the morning, we essentially review the results, and we literally repeat this a lot, okay? In the lower right corner, this is actually a logic probe. So that we actually have wires coming out of this connected to modules where we're measuring essentially outputs to test mesh hopping, timing consistency, lots of spreadsheets, lots of data analysis. So, really when we go through our test process, it's pretty substantial. If anyone's been to our offices, there's a ton of equipment, lots of computer systems, and it's quite a process. So we do take this stuff really seriously, and we thank you for your patience in that. Okay, cool. So good. All right, and so let's also mention this, that if you do want to upgrade to our firmware, if you go to cobrafiringsystems.com/firmware, it'll actually take you to a page within our help system that talks about the process for upgrading firmware. We do have a reprogramming software program now that you can use, a very simple wizard step-by-step process. We do have you do require a wireless reprogrammer to perform the updates, but since we've released this new software, it's actually pretty straightforward to use that. And if you are upgrading to 511, we just ask you to fill out a little form so we can have your contact information. Therefore, if we need to communicate to those directly who have upgraded, we have that email list available, which is, I think, a nice new thing that we've done with this firmware. So, perfect. Cool. Any chat questions? I'm good to go, guys. All right. Okay. So
good to go.
Let's talk about the core equipment improvements. So a couple of things, and we're going to get to SMPTE a little bit later, but let's start with some of the smaller items. One of the improvements we've done in 511 is we've sped up the process in which devices connect to your remote. And you would see this mainly when you're arming modules, right? So let's say you had 20 modules in the field, or 50 or 100 modules, or even 3 modules within the field. The speed in which you connect to those modules is twice as fast within 511, okay? In addition to that, you'll notice that when it's arming, that the numbers that display how many modules that it has found occur every 2 seconds, right? So previously in 502, you'll notice that it would oftentimes just like display the number 0 for a while, and you'd see a lot of addresses rotating. That user experience is now a lot faster, much more fluid, much more usable, and it creates a lot less stress, right, as far as waiting for those last modules to come in. Okay, so it's not like 80% of them arm and you're waiting that final few moments for the last to come in. You may still see that a little bit, but it is dramatically improved and a lot more of a much more smoother process with the arming. So we got a lot of feedback on that with 502, and we actually spent a ton of time making that improvement. So it's a small improvement, but if you do a lot of shows with our system, I think you're really going to enjoy that change. The other thing we've done is we did a lot within the form of file name flexibility. So what does this really kind of mean? Well, what it means is that, number one, when you're loading a script into the H&R2, you no longer have to have cobra.csv as the file name. Okay, so if you want to save your script files, any file name that you want that's a CSV file, you can do that, all right? So we're not requiring it, so every time you have to change it to that, you can change it to Cobra, you can change it to My 4th of July Show, you can put the date in there, you can really put whatever you want into that thumb drive. Secondly, if you are a person that likes to load multiple script files onto your 18R2, you no longer have to combine them into the same file. You could literally just take multiple scripts, place them onto the thumb drive, and when you load and you place that thumb drive into the 18R2, it's going to automatically load all of those files into the 18R2 accordingly. And we're going to actually talk a little bit about a feature within the control panel a little bit later that allows you to actually select from any of those scripts, and those then become the primary script within the 18R2, allowing you to take advantage of the unlimited channel and unlimited queue feature within the system. So again, no need to have to combine files into one. You can just place multiple files names on there. Also, this is another great one. The audio file name does not need to match the script file name. So I can't tell you how many times we get the support issue where my audio is not playing, but when I start it on my controller, and usually probably 8 out of 10 times, that's due to the fact that the audio file name's not matching what's in your script. Currently, it just, within this new version, it'll just simply play the audio file even if it doesn't necessarily match, just to make things a little bit easier for you. And then last but not least, the audio file name length. It's no longer limited to 12 characters. It's now a full 45 characters, right? So again, kind of an annoying limitation that we had originally, and we did some changes to dramatically improve on that, okay? So again, file name flexibility, some small stuff, but it goes a long way. The other cool thing, and we're gonna be launching this 6M shortly here, weeks, not months, and the 6M is going to actually fully operate within 5.1.1 as part of the stable release candidate, which is really cool. So you won't have to be running a beta release in order to run the 6M with our software. And last but not least, probably the biggest feature that we've done within 5.1, which we're going to talk about here, is SMPTE. Okay, and so let's actually jump right into that. So first off, what is SMPTE? Okay, and so some of you in this webinar may know what it is, some of you may have no idea what it is, but SMPTE essentially is a technology that actually came out of the 60s, believe it or not, and it was done within the film industry in order to synchronize essentially systems directly to film in the form of frames within seconds within the film industry. And what we've done is we didn't invent this. This has also been used in pyrotechnics for quite some time, so this is nothing new. But what we're trying to do is make this technology useful and easy for those who are Cobra clients. So we're trying to make it a little bit more mainstream. We're trying to make it very easy for you, and kind of taking what is normally a pro feature and trying to boil it down to some very simple ways for everyone, from the professional down to kind of the backyard shooter. And effectively how it works is SMPTE is simply, think of it as a stopwatch within an audio file. Okay, so if you figure you have an audio file, and as we normally know it, audio files typically play music that we can recognize and enjoy. However, that same signal that's coming out of that audio, in the case of SMPTE, actually sounds kind of like a screeching, horrible noise, right? It's kind of like a ring type of a noise. And that noise actually contains timing information, right? So you can actually take an audio file, have SMPTE within that audio file, and to the human ear, it sounds like nothing, quite annoying. But to a system such as Cobra or another system, it actually contains valuable timing information. So that, for example, at 1 minute, if you were to listen to the SMPTE, if you were a computer, it would actually contain 1 minute as the value, and at 5 minutes it would contain 5 minutes, and at 32 seconds it would contain 32 seconds. And what we can do is, if you think about a traditional audio file, you have kind of like a left and a right channel. What we can do is on one of those channels, for example, the left channel, we can include the music, right? And then on another channel, for example, the right channel, we can include the SMPTE. And then what happens is that when you play from your audio source, whether this is a laptop, mobile device, MP3 player, or today we're going to show you a bit with Cobra Show Creator, when you play that audio file, the SMPTE and the music are coming out precisely at the exact same time. One of those is going into the ears of the human for the music. The other side is going into the 18R2 and controlling your timing of your show, right? So if you pause the SMPTE, it'll cause it to pause. If you resume it, it'll cause it to resume. If you want to start your show mid-show, you can start it mid-show. And effectively, it is an affordable way for you to synchronize music to your show without the use of an audio box. During the Black Friday sale, we're actually selling this for $50. So it's a simple $50, which actually includes the upgrade kit, a USB audio sound card, and a cable. So it's a great value, and it's a very cost affordable way to integrate. And so if you look at this picture here, we're actually showing it. So here we have our computer. In this case, you'll see the lower right corner is actually running Cobra Show Creator. This is the little USB sound card. Coming out of that 3.5 millimeter audio cable with the red end going into the 18R2 through the RCA port that is connected to the SMPTE adapter within our controller. And the other side of that would actually go directly into whatever sound system that you guys are using, okay? Perfect. And so now at this point, I'm actually going to hand this over to Zach, and he's going to run a simple demonstration for us.
Okay, just waiting for Joel to move me to a primary.
Should be good.
And everyone can see me full screen there?
We can.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So yeah, if you haven't used Show Creator before, this is the new Cobra Show Creator, obviously with the SMPTE upgrade. So to use SMPTE with your computer, you just simply need some parts that we include in our audio kit. So we've got the USB audio device there, and then the 3.5 millimeter to RCA out here on your left and your right. So we've got the right channel, and then we've got the left channel. This would then go to another audio source, or sorry, speaker system that you then use to have your music for your show come out of. And one thing to note too, you don't have to use Show Creator to use SMPTE, right? You can do all the work to actually play it, but you can do all the work in.
Hey guys, just jumping in. It says Zach is top right for me. Is there any way? Is he not full screen for everybody?
He's full screen for me.
He's full screen for me.
So if you look in the top right, you should see something that says gallery view or speaker view. If you see a grid of people, click on speaker view, and it should make Zach the prominent screen.
There's two separate windows for me. So like one is us and the second one is his full video, if that helps anyone.
No option from Dave. Okay, so and okay, so no one's getting the option. Using full screen on a second monitor, Jason, no option. So
Yeah, I'm trying. Does this work any better?
that's showing the computer.
Yeah, I see your control.
Yeah, maybe that's better for now.
There.
All right. Okay, so that. All right, if everyone can chat.
Yeah.
All right, let's go with that for now because it's for some reason the camera. All right, we'll go with that, Zach.
Well, they just won't see the modules and controller.
Yeah, I can still see your camera.
I can see both of them right now.
I can see both of them personally. Yeah. Okay, so people are saying that they can see both. So
okay, perfect.
Okay, so let's just go with this.
Yeah. So as I was saying, you don't have to use Show Creator to actually play the show back using SMPTE if you didn't want to. You could just use the software to create the show and create your combined audio file with the SMPTE on your one channel, and then use that in your own PA system. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the 18R2 on. You'll of course see the two 18M modules power back up as they were in their nice sleep mode.
And just I want to add some clarity to that, Zach, what you just said, just so people understand what you said there. What Zach is going to show you right now is he's going to actually use Cobra Show Creator to play the audio directly. Basically, he's got the headphone jack coming out of the computer, and one channel is going to go into the 18R2, which is the SMPTE. That's going to be used for him to control the SMPTE timing. And the other part of the cable would go into a sound system. And what Zach's saying is that right now we're going to show you how you can use Cobra Show Creator to act as that audio source by actually using our interface to play the audio. But what you can do from Cobra Show Creator is, and Zach's going to show this where he can, and in fact, if you don't mind, Zach, just showing how, because I actually, I will jump back into the combined files because I realized I missed that, is that he actually, within Show Creator, I'm sorry, let me take that back. You could technically not use Show Creator, and you could do this from any audio source, whether it's a phone, an MP3 player, just your computer playing this audio file on Windows Media Player. He just happened to show you how to do this from the SMPTE player within Cobra Show Creator, which is kind of nice because it shows you a lot of the events firing accordingly. So, okay. Sorry, Zach.
No worries. And I know Jason asked where to get the USB audio device. So that we actually sell that as part of the kit. It comes with the SMPTE upgrade kit, but you can also get it as part of the audio kit, and it will come with a 3.5 millimeter to RCA cable, as well as the sound card there. Right. So, as I said, we've got the right channel plugged into the 18R2 controller. So it just goes right there into your SMPTE port. And then from Show Creator, if you are using the software to actually control the 18R2, you just go to the SMPTE Show Player. And then that's going to give you, as Scott was saying, it's going to give you a list of your events there up at the top. And then you're going to see two audio tracks. We've got our SMPTE down below and then our music up top. And once we arm the controller, and then wait for your ARM LED to go solid, it's going to tell us how many modules we've got armed up at the top screen. So 2. And then we are using trigger channel 0 and trigger button 1. So we're going to start the script. And as you notice, the remote now says pause. And from here, all we need to do when we're ready to start the show is just hit start. And you'll see we've got a time code going from 0 to time code 9. Of course, time code 9 being the best. And then you can see the modules, the two 18Ms on there, start to fire the cues. Now, you're going through your show, everything's going well, but for some reason you need to stop or pause. All you do is hit pause, then just quickly confirm, and then the system stops. So it says pause again, letting you know that the controller has been paused. And we can either start up again and just keep going where we were, and you'll notice that time code comes back and the controller stops. Or if we wanted to, we could go back and kind of do some time warp here and go forward.
And so basically, I think what Zach's showing you here is that essentially the SMPTE player within Cobra Show Creator, it's kind of acting as the, if there was a record, this is a horrible analogy, but if there's a record on the inside of the 18R2, think of the SMPTE player as the ability for you to kind of have its finger on where the record player is playing, on that record. So if you wanted to start it earlier in the record, it would move the needle there. If you wanted to start it later, you can move it there. By playing the SMPTE player, it's causing the record to spin, right? So essentially, you're fully, what's the record? Thanks, Talia. So totally lost me. Oh God. So effectively, it's complete control of the timing of your 18R2, right from Show Creator, using that SMPTE SMPTE system, right? And the other thing to mention too, and I'm sure Zach will get into this, is if you did have an audio box connected to your 18R2, that audio box would play as well. So if you do want to still have a stereo output, because in Show Creator, it does actually kind of condense one side of that audio to mono, you can also control an audio box or one or more audio boxes right from the 18R2 in addition to the SMPTE control. And yes, Dane, it does work with A-Track. Thank you.
Awesome.
One question asking, can you test SMPTE quality before starting the script?
Yeah, for sure you can. So you would just do it in the test mode, of course. And then
you would need to play it from the SMPTE player, Zach.
I thought, okay, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So to answer the question, if you play it within test mode, you can see there. I think Steve asked a question. You can see the actual TC0 versus TC9 displaying on the 18R2. So.
We also had a question in general on what the what determines the link quality. What is the difference between a 0 and a 9?
Yeah, I can probably speak. I'm probably the best to speak to that. So the time quality it's really it's a measurement of how many packets or frames are effectively being lost. Okay, so if the highest time code quality means that we are picking up nearly all of the time code packets. If the time quality is low, it means that for whatever reason they're corrupted and that we're missing some of them. Now, if we're missing some, that's no big deal. We can still continue and we can still move forward, right? But it's a good question because there's actually two different time code options. In fact, actually, can you go to that really quick, Zach? Just go ahead and close out the window and go to show settings, if you will. And if you'll notice at the bottom here, we have this drop down that says SMPTE timecode. And you'll notice that we've got timecode 1 and we've got timecode 2. Timecode 2 is something we recommend if you're using Cobra Show Creator, because timecode 2 essentially, if you read through this, explains that if the timecode gets lost or paused or whatever, the remote's going to automatically pause and kind of play along with the timecode. It's a very sensitive option, and it's designed if you have a reliable and controlled audio source. If you don't have that, or you're concerned, like for example, you're working with a third party, you've never worked with them, you're concerned that you don't trust their audio source, timecode 1 is kind of like all it needs is one packet or one frame, and the remote is off, and it's going to run on its own clock, right? So with timecode 1, it doesn't require a maintained timecode signal. It just needs one signal, one command, and it's off to the races. And it'll, even if you disconnected the timecode cable from the 18R2, it would continue on its way. In the case of timecode 2, if you unplug that SMPTE cable, you would effectively lose the timecode. So I'm sorry, you would lose the timecode, and the 18R2 would stop. So great. All right, cool. All right, well, thanks, Zach. And I think I'm going to switch back to mine because if you want to stop sharing, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to quickly just go into, oops, let's see here. Show Cobra. Okay, so you guys should hopefully see my screen up here. Are you guys seeing my screen as it's being shared? Nope.
I do not see your screen.
All right, here we go.
I do now.
That way.
All right.
There it is.
Okay. All right. Good poll, Joel. That's a good one. So I'm going to show you a couple other features within Show Creator that we've done. I'm just going to go ahead and click on My Shows. I'm going to create a new show. And we're just going to call this, let's just call this Test Show. And let's create this. And I'm actually going to say, yes, I have music. And I'm just going to show you a bit of the beginnings of some of the cool audio features that we've added to the Audio Studio within Show Creator. And one of those features is what's called creating a combined file. Okay, so if if you're, this is, plays well into some of the backyard consumers or even professionals. If you've downloaded a bunch of MP3 files and you add them directly to our audio studio, you can do that simply by clicking on Add New and dropping files into the audio studio. For example, I've got a couple of these already loaded up. And you want to combine those together into a single audio file, but you don't want to use a third-party audio editor such as Audacity, right? What you can do is you just click on this button that says Create Combined File. You can give it a file name, right? So we'll just call this like Test Combined Audio File. And you can add audio files. And when you click this button, any of the single audio files that you've loaded become available. You can simply add those into the screen. You can click on them to rearrange them in whatever order if you want. And even if you had, however 5 of these or more, or however many you've got, you can reorder them in whatever way that you want. And you just simply click Save. And by doing that, our system in the background is going to actually combine all of those audio files together into a single audio file for you, right? And in the future, what you'll probably see from us is we're going to start adding some basic sound editing features within here. It'll never be to the point of any form of a professional audio editor, but for basics as far as combining files, being able to add maybe simple fades and things of that nature, you can do that. So, all right, good poll results there. Once that combined audio file is created, you just simply click Finished, right? And that combined audio file will exist. If you ever decided, you know what, I want to just kind of like change the order of those files, you can do that, just simply editing those combined files. And you can even download the MP3 file as a single file if you want to as well. And also, if you want to add SMPTE to the audio file, it's just as easy as choosing this left or right option when you're adding SMPTE. You don't need to launch a audio editing program. You don't have to download SMPTE files. You don't have to try to merge them into channels. You don't even have to worry about formatting the audio file. You just simply choose to add SMPTE right from this dropdown. All of that layering will occur directly within the background of the software for you, and then become available within your audio studio at any time. Cool. And perfect. So that talks a little bit about the combined files. All right, so we'll jump to here. So we talked about, can you guys still see my PowerPoint okay? Doing good?
Yep.
All right. We'll also talk very briefly here about script comments. One of the cool things that we've also added is the ability for you to add what we call script comments. And how script comments work is it allows you to take any event that you have defined. So if I just kind of define some different events within my script, and I want to say, you know what, I'm going to take this event and I'm going to make it a comment, you can create a comment and say, start of my finale, as an example, right? And you can do this anywhere that you want within your show, right? End of my finale. So it's a way for you to add rows, and those rows can actually occur at defined times, okay? And they give you essentially a way to label different sections of your show. And one of the cool things that Joel's going to show in a few minutes here is how the control panel actually shows these comments within the actual event list of the control panel. So if there's certain information that you want available to your operators, or something that's helpful for you to know where you are within the show, you can add show comments to give you those indications as the show is running. So kind of a cool feature. We're going to continue to do more with show comments, but wanted to show you how that works, at least on the show creator side of things. Cool. So we talked about combined audio files. We talked about script comments. We went through timecode and the SMPTE player. And now let's jump into the Cobra control panel. So I'm going to talk very briefly about some of the features, and I'm going to let Joel dive right in and show us all how it works. Joel's going to be talking about multiple scripts and unlimited channels. He's going to show off the continuous clock. We're going to probably talk both together a little bit about audio, local audio playback, editing script attributes and general settings, and also a cool little unfired product email report. So I'm going to stop sharing, Joel, and you can go ahead and take over.
Perfect. While I set this up, I'm going to launch another poll. You guys can answer that. Just give me 1 second.
I will answer Donald's question. Donald, it doesn't remove or reset the clock or anything like that. A comment is actually just placed in line in the script. So what Scott was doing is he just actually converted a timed event to a comment, so it essentially removed that event altogether. So if you wanted an event to happen at the exact same time that the comment was to show, you'd have it the same time. So if the comment was at 1 minute, you'd have the event at 1 minute as well.
Cool. All right, I can see your screen, Joel.
Good. Sorry, it closed my windows when I switched to share, so I'm just getting that set up. All right, so I'm in that polling. Share those results with you guys. Seems like, 2 people said never. But majority of you say we should do more webinars. We appreciate that feedback. All right, so you are blurry, and it's because I am drinking. Okay, good feedback. At this point, you should be able to see my control panel screen. So I just want to note there is delay from when I touch the screen and it shows on your end. So I'm going to try to do my best at going slow so that way I don't get too far ahead of myself. If I do one of the panels, please stop me.
You're getting a little bit of blur. Is your video sharing, Joel? Or obviously, one of the things you could do is turn off your personal webcam.
I can do that. Let me know if that gets better.
Just one thought that I didn't do before that I should have. Okay. Well, I guess we'll let us know.
Blurry, but...
Okay.
Still a bit blurry.
Same but fine. So it seems like people are okay with it.
All right. Well, if it gets unbearable, someone interrupt me.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go screen by screen to just show you everything that's new. There's a lot of small, just minor things that are new on this version of the control panel. So first off, in the top right corner of the control panel up here, you'll see that there's now a button for battery life of the 1802. So if I click on that, it's going to open up a battery grid, just showing the battery life of the 1802 over time. So that way, if you want to see what's going on, it's the same type of graph that shows if you click on your module battery graph here. We also are adding support for the 6M for the future release, which you can kind of see on the 3rd module here on my list. Also on the device list, if I click into the continuity report in the bottom right corner, this is going to bring up all of the modules that are missing continuity in my show. And we added the ability here to export the continuity report. So if I click on that, what it's going to do is it's going to enable Bluetooth if it's not already enabled, and it's going to allow you to send an Excel file with the missing continuity to your phone. So for example, if you want to send that report to your phone, walk out in the field and check continuity, you can do so without bringing your setup with you. So from there, that's it on the device list. We're going to switch over to the show controls. All right, so one thing you might notice is this continuous clock is new. That was not there on the previous version. That's a setting that you can actually enable. So I'm going to talk about settings first, and then we'll come back to the show controls. So if we open the left navigation here, sorry about that. Looks like we'll come back to that pop up in just a second. Okay, so we open the left navigation. If I click on this more button, everything under more is new. So we've added settings, and we're going to go into that in just a second. The help portal, which basically takes you to the Cobra website help portal. Send feedback, which brings up an email to send feedback or bugs that you might find directly from control panel. Email unfired product report, which Scott, you talked about it earlier. You want to hit that real quick?
Yeah, that's cool. Or you want to just show that right at the end, and I'll talk about it then.
That works too.
Yep,
okay.
Let's do that.
And then about is just information about the control panel and your tablet. So if I click on settings, all these options are new. We added the ability to preset SMPTE timecode, dead NAND, audio box, and a few other things. So for example, if I turn on one of these settings for like time code, I could have it so every time I load a script on the control panel, it automatically puts time code into my script for you. So that way you don't have to do it on Show Creator or whatever program you're using to create your file. Same thing with Deadman and AudioBox. You can also hide modules that are not in the current script that is selected. So what that will do is on the device list, if you select this option, you have a script loaded on the show controls. It's only going to show those modules on the device list. So if you have, for example, 10 scripts loaded, you can select this options to filter out additional modules that maybe you don't want to see at that point in time. You can change the language.
Can I talk about that real quickly? Can I add a little bit to that, Joel?
Sure.
Okay, cool. And so just one thing to add to that, and Joel's going to show it in a section, but when you, one of the really cool things about that is that, you know, within here now, within the control panel, you can choose which script that you want to fire, and that makes that script the primary script. And all this is
benefit in a second too.
And exactly, and Joel's will be showing that. But think of events where you may want to fire multiple scripts in an evening, right? You may be on a whether it's a football game or something where you've got different scripts that you want to load, or any other different type of event. We've made it so that you can, you know, when you choose that selected script that you want to fire, and Joel will show this, that it makes that the primary script, right, which allows it to fire unlimited channels and unlimited queues. And then also, by enabling this setting where it hides modules not in the selected script, it won't confuse you as far as having the different modules that are being used in different scripts. So it's really kind of making the control panel very useful when it comes to having multiple scripts that you're firing within the same night, and keeping the user experience focused on just those individual scripts that you're currently working on. So, sorry, Joel. Add a little more.
All good.
Yep.
Okay, so the last three options here are jump confirmation. So that will disable the confirmation that appears if you're trying to jump in your script. That is there in case you need to jump faster, so you don't actually have to confirm the jump. Continuous clock, which is what I mentioned when we first went to show controls. You'll actually see it in the background on the left side over here. So if I disable that, you should see it remove from my screen. I clicked off of it, 1 second. Okay, let's try that one more time. Okay, so if I disable that, you should see it disappear in the background there. And the last thing is the unfired product report. This is just where you set the email that you're going to use, which we'll talk about in just a second. So we also, to build on the SMPTE, Deadman, and AudioBox arguments further, if I click on the script attributes, I can actually change those arguments on the fly. So for example, right now, I don't have anything specified for Deadman, and I do not have anything specified for SMPTE. So if I were to click on one of these options, let's say Deadman, I can say no Deadman, or I can set it to a button. So if you need to use Deadman and you forgot your SMPTE trigger, your Deadman trigger at home, you can change this to a button on the fly or remove it altogether. So we're just going to say use button 13. Click apply. And we're going to do the same thing with time code down here. I'm just going to say we're going to use time code 2. And again, you can change this completely on the fly. So if for some reason you don't have time code, you can actually pull that before showtime. So now it's going to...
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, I think the idea here too is that if you didn't have a computer on site or you had everything connected, this gives you this, you're not in a stuck position, right, Joel, to kind of make changes. You can do these all just right from here.
Correct. Okay, so when I put time code into my script, you might have noticed this SMPTE feed is now showing. That is the time code quality that was talked about earlier. That shows on the 1802. It also shows on the control panel, so you can see the quality of the feed. So at this point, now that I've added Deadman and time code, I want to show you what that looks like from the control panel. So we're going to arm my remote. And then when I go to start my show, what it's going to do is it's going to tell me that I need to both be playing time code and be holding the Deadman button. So if I just push play on the control panel, you'll see that the status over here changed to paused, awaiting SMPTE and Deadman. And so if I hold that button 13 on the remote, to do 13, didn't I? Oh, I did 14. Okay, that was my mistake. I did 14. Okay, so if I hold 14 on the remote, you should see the status update to paused awaiting SMPTE. So now it's just telling me I need to play SMPTE. So as soon as SMPTE is played, the script will start. And if I let go of the Deadman button, you should see it update again. And it should say paused awaiting SMPTE and Deadman. So it's going to tell you what it's actually waiting to play. So both of those need to be met, timecode and Deadman, in order for the script to play. And then again, like Scott mentioned, that if you, for example, don't want Deadman, you can go into your script attributes and disable that and come back and fire the script without the need for Deadman. Okay. Sorry, a little bit of delay here on this screen share. Okay, so the other thing we mentioned with the script changing. So right now you'll see I have following script loaded, which is just STL New Year's Eve 2020. So the actual CSV file is named STL New Year's Eve 2020. I did not have to rename it from, or I did not have to rename it to Cobra.csv. I left it the name of the show. And if I click this drop down, it brings up all the scripts that are currently loaded onto my remote. In this case, I have 2, including KC tree lighting. So when I click on the next script, it's going to load the script and it's going to bring a confirmation window that says, do you want to make this the uploaded script? And so Scott kind of talked about that earlier. By making it the uploaded script, it loads this script onto my modules and it removes the firing limitation so I can fire as many channels as I want to, as fast as I want to. You see this kind of pop-up is what I'm referring to. So if I were to select no, it would still be limited to the previous limitations where it can only fire 2 channels in a 0.4 second interval. But if I click yes, that now uploads it onto the modules. So we also showed you the ability to add comments in your script. So on the control panel, you'll see at the very top of my script here, I just noted as show start, and this is a comment. So it's going to highlight that line as blue. Whatever time you specify is what it's going to show in my script. I had another one all the way down the finale, if this will show fast enough for you down here. So you can segment your script of what's going on during the script. And then also, Scott mentioned the ability to only show modules that are on for this script. But on top of that, when you change to this script, the continuity that appears on your device list should show for this script. So for example, channel 1, Q1 should show as a red flame. So let's go check that out real quick. So if I click on, for example, channel 1 continuity grid, you'll see that it's showing Q1 red flame, and down here it's actually showing script 2 of 2, because normally we just go right into the first script. In this case, I changed the script that's uploaded, so it actually switched the continuity grid that displays. Okay, so that is everything for the show controls. Any questions before I move on?
I think we're just looking at the QA. Dusty, I'm just noted the Q&A. What we're showing here isn't show creator, but rather the control panel. But I will send you a link to some example scripts with the raw CSV. One question from Seth is, what's the difference between Deadman support and no Deadman support from the SMPTE upgrade kit? So if you are getting the SMPTE upgrade kit, the Deadman just means that there's a hole in the side of it that you would have, that there's a little mini XLR 6-pin connector on the 18R2. By selecting no Deadman, it just means that we're not going to drill that hole. So that's just, if you own a Deadman and you want to use SMPTE, say Deadman support. If not, don't. So, and do you have to use CSC to add comments? You don't. Joel, is it just simply, and I'm not sure, Dawson, you're still there. Is it just in the event time, the word comment, or comments? It's
No, in your script file, like you can see on the show controls now, you just leave the channel and cues blank.
Got it.
So if you leave that blank, you still specify the time because that's where it's going to put it in your script, and then you still put a description, and that basically acts as the comment. So just leave channel cue blank. Okay.
Awesome, thanks.
We are going to move on to manual fire. Okay, so not a lot has changed here, but I do want to touch base on just some minor changes. We cleaned up the UI just a little bit, changed some things around and hid some of the buttons that were previously showing in the options down here on the bottom right. And then if I open the options, we've added a new option, this very last one here, show assigned text on cues. What we did is we made it so if you have a script loaded, it takes the description of the cues in your script and it puts it onto the modules in manual fire. So if you don't want that, you can simply select this option and the module in the background will remove the text from your script. So now these are all blank. So that's the only changes on the manual fire. If I go to field map, there we go. One of the things we did on field map is we cleaned up the UI a little bit, added several of the options that were previously showing into this options button down here. We also added the ability to add a reference. So if I click on this, it just allows you to enter a text box. So if you want to enter, the audio booth or a SLAT or whatever that might be, you can do so. And then it'll just put a little bubble on your screen. And then lastly, we added the ability to upload your own custom image. So you'll see your upload image. So if you put an image onto your tablet, you can select upload image. It basically takes you into your gallery. And so for example, I created this before the webinar just to show you what this might look like. Then now I have my custom image that I did on my computer and then brought over to my tablet. There was actually one other change. If I go into Google Earth Image, previously it just showed your Earth view and map view. We also added a 3D map view. So if I were to zoom in here to some of these buildings, it's a fair amount of lag, so I'm trying to go slow here. You'll see that the buildings are now in 3D view, and you can change that by clicking in the bottom left here. You'll see 3D map view. I can select terrain view or map view, which is what was previously on the control panel. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is that email unfired product report. So at this point, let's say my script is finished firing. If we go into more, and then click email unfired product report, it should bring up a list of all items that were in this script I just fired. And you'll see I already set my email to my Cobra email, which was done in the settings menu. And then I can just set which items have not fired, and it'll email report to my email. Scott, do you want to talk about that further now?
Sure, yeah. So this was actually a request that came in from a few companies who use Finale, where Finale actually has a process within their inventory software for initiating a return process. And essentially, if you're on a professional show and you have product that hasn't fired, in many cases you need some form of a record indicating that that product has not fired. And by using this feature, it allows you to automatically email that report to whoever within your company would require that. And that report includes a CSV file that you can actually import directly into Finale inventory. So it's just kind of a small little cool feature. May not be used by most, but it is something that's nice in there. So, and the other thing, Joel, do you want me to talk about the local audio file support? I'm not sure if you jumped into that already.
No, I did not. So let me pull that up. You're welcome to talk about it as I pull it up.
Yeah, that's cool. So the other thing that we added, it's kind of cool. It's a bit of a hidden feature within the audio box, but you have, excuse me, the audio box, the control panel. You have the ability to actually choose an audio file for the control panel and have that audio file come right off the actual Android device itself. So if you had an MP3 audio file that you placed on your thumb drive, you could actually connect that directly to your Android device using that same OTG cable. Just plug it right into the female USB side. You could save that audio file right to your Android device, and then right from the control panel, you can actually select that audio file. And what that means is when your script is playing on your control panel, the audio off of your Android device will actually play your local audio file, okay? And so you could technically actually play your audio right from your Android device. However, one of the reasons that we're not kind of leading with this is the primary approach to doing Pyro-Musicals is just because the whole purpose of the control panel is truly to act as a bit of a slave device, right? We sometimes use the use of laptops or computers or devices like this are sometimes frowned upon in pyrotechnics. People want to use an entirely embedded device, and so so we wouldn't ever want this to crash or anything like that during your show. But you can actually play it. And so if you just wanted to listen to whatever your audio file was, or if you felt comfortable using your tablet to play the audio, you can certainly do that. Or if you had to have certain voice cues playing, things like that, the audio file that's playing on the control panel could certainly be different than the audio file that's playing on your audio box or your SMPTE audio source, whether it's Cobra Show Creator or any other type of different sound system that's feeding it. So anyway, kind of a cool little feature, audio output right from the show controls that we added within this version. All right, let's take a quick look at the Q&A right here. Can the 3D map be printed out? I'm sure, Frank, if you did that, you could probably want to do that from your computer first, maybe. I'm sure Android can print out images, but it may be better to do that. For example, if you had that in advance, and you probably wouldn't be using the control panel to print it out necessarily. Tal asks, since we are able to load multiple different scripts into the 18R2, if we don't use the control panel now, how do we know which script is being used? That's a great question. Actually, the 18R2 is just simply going to grab the first file that's on the USB thumb drive. Depending on your trigger channel and your trigger button, that's going to determine which script that you're actually going to be starting. But I do suggest if you're if you're going to use the 18R2 default fire multiple scripts, you just know which trigger channel and which trigger button are effectively being used, and obviously test things out so you're comfortable with how you're doing that. So hopefully that answered your questions on that one, Tal. If I have a reprogrammer, how do I get the new file onto it? Dave, the reprogrammer doesn't actually you don't actually put files onto the reprogrammer. The wireless reprogrammer for Cobra is really more of a bridge device that's used to wirelessly transmit the new firmware onto the systems. If you go to cobrafiringsystems.com/firmware, that'll take you right to the user guide that tells you how to upgrade the firmware. We have a great program called Cobra Reprogramming Software that's really easy. It's kind of a children's book step-by-step wizard for doing updates. If you get stuck or need help, obviously you can let us know. Can you use the tablet as the SMPTE source while can you use the tablet as the SMPTE source while using control panel and the audio box? Wow, that's a great question. In theory, technically, I guess you could. I don't know specifically. We've actually tested using but you really wouldn't need to use the tablet as the SMPTE source because you're technically starting it. But I guess if you could technically split the audio into another system. So Yeah, that's getting into some more advanced use of SMPTE, Johnny. I'm sure we could probably take that offline a little bit. But one thing to note, one thing I will say about SMPTE is that if you do have a SMPTE source of audio, you can use that not just to feed Cobra, but you could use it to feed really any other system, whether it's a DMX system or a lighting system or a laser system, for example. Many special effects systems out there support SMPTE, and that's really the whole point of SMPTE, is that you're using a single audio source to feed multiple systems, such as Cobra, so that they're all firing at the exact same time. Unfortunately, Michael, Cobra does not run on iPad. It only runs on Android right now, not on any of the iOS products. We did a webinar on the control panel a little while back where we kind of explained all of that, but in short, it comes down to really the sheer amount of effort to maintain two different platforms, and we'd rather focus any of that additional effort into making one better. In addition to that, we're a little worried about iOS and their support of an OTG tethered connection that we want to maintain, and we're just fearful that Apple, in some cases, can be a little bit restrictive of that, and we'd hate to do all that effort and have that someday go away. Perfect. So, great. All right, you all set on your side, Joel?
Yeah, that's the control panel.
Okay, excellent, excellent. The other thing I wanted to mention too, and as we're kind of wrapping up here, one of the big things that you're not seeing within all these features is the fact that, we did an extraordinary kind of Herculean effort to make sure that this version fully supports hardware A versions of our original 18M modules. And while this took us a lot of time to get this right, I can tell you right now that the majority of that time was to ensure that the 18M-A hardware versions would work reliably with our current systems. They do on 5.1. We were actually able to address every single issue within the hardware A versions that would have caused for instability. So while it took us some time, hopefully people can appreciate that we are very much committed to maintaining universal, compatibility across our systems. And, for those of you that stuck with us early on and using the hardware A versions, feel comfortable that even though those soldiers are a little bit older and they've been around for a while, that they're gonna, join ranks with the rest of your equipment, and they're not gonna skip a beat, and you can feel just as comfortable with them working as you can some of the others. They may not fully support all of the cool new features that we're adding in the future, but as far as firing your shows and firing them reliably and sending continuity, signal information, and all the good stuff that they're normally expected to do, they're there for the long term, and we're committed to making sure that and sticking to our guns from the beginning, that we will support them. So anyway, just want to make that clear. Cool. So I think what we'll probably do here is just kind of hang out for a little bit. We're going to take a look at some of these Q&A questions, get them answered, and then probably close things up, and then switch it. We'll probably do a little bit of an after party afterwards, and just kind of hang out and answer any other questions that you guys have. But one question from Chris, does the USB audio adapter isolate the show music from other sounds the window machine makes, like notification sound? Wow, Chris, great question. Probably not, actually. So I don't believe it's gonna effectively do that. I don't think the hardware necessarily knows the difference between those things. I'm sure there may, I know you're a technical guy, I'm sure there may be some different Windows programs that may allow, or settings that you can control to do that. But again, with SMPTE, your originating source doesn't necessarily have to be Windows. It can be any type of audio sound system that can play a source SMPTE file. Cool. All right, I see a lot of smiling and giggling from the Cobra team, so it sounds like the chat is colorful and fun. How long of an audio cable with the SMPTE kit, Steve? Really, the best thing to do for that is test the. You could technically run probably a decent length of audio cable. It's really going to come down to the gauge of that cable. You know, I would imagine that once you start extending several hundred feet, you're probably going to run some risk. The best thing to do is to test that, you know, that's why we have the time code testing utility, is to see the quality of that time code, that TC0 through TC9 that we were talking about before. So really the best thing to do is test everything in advance.
What we sell is 6 feet too, by the way, if you're
Oh,
asking
yeah.
about our kit.
Yeah, our kit is 6 feet long, but obviously you can use a longer cable. John Perella, how many jars of jelly is it going to cost me to talk privately review and work out my current? Well, John, I believe your wife makes amazing jelly. I've tried it, so I have been gifted the amazing jelly, and so I can tell you that it won't take much jelly at all. So it's so good. So thank you. I have actually. It's good. I think it was spicy. I can't remember.
Jalapeno jelly it was.
Yeah, Japolino. I don't know. Okay. All right. That's funny. What time is the Black Friday sale again? Yes, Black Friday. Anyone? Black Friday is starts at midnight on Thursday evening and goes for 24 hours. And so definitely take advantage of that. Again, tell your friends, if anyone you know is looking for Cobra, new customer deals can't be beat. Can you transmit SMPTE using two-way radios? Another great question, Tom. SMPTE is not, a lot of people use like Marty systems for SMPTE for transmitting wirelessly. SMPTE is not friendly when it comes to wireless transmission. However, FSK is, and actually Cobra is very, very far along with our FSK integration. So we're going to be doing FSK among some other different ways for time synchronization across systems that we're going to be releasing shortly. That development is quite far along. So FSK is a bit of the solution to that, Tom, as a different type of time code feed. A lot of people waiting for the 6Q. Again, Black Friday, Thursday evening, midnight. Do you have a date on the LiPo for the 18R2? Tal, not yet, but it's very soon. We actually have units in production right now. So that'll be coming soon. DMX integration, William, hang tight. I think you'll be very hopefully pleased with that. And let's see here. Can you transmit? We already talked about that. Can we combine first-time buyer combos and MJGs with the same Black Friday order? Do we need to make two separate orders? The one thing with MJGs is they have to ship together. I'm sorry, they have to ship separately. So no matter how you place your order on Black Friday, if you're buying MJG initiators, those have to be separated into their own order. Will the FSK functionality use the same SMPTE upgrade kit? Great question, Hugh. We're still answering that question. Possibly, but maybe not. But I can tell you right now, it won't be too expensive. So if that is the case, but there's a possibility for that. Ooh, okay. Great. Alrighty. So anyway, I'll probably close this up and just say we're going to hang out here, so don't worry, we're not signing off quite yet. But I just want to thank everyone for all their patience and their time. Even though this is 5-1, we've got lots more to come from the Cobra team. We're not going anywhere. We're super excited. Thanks for your patience and commitment to us as a company. Thanks for being awesome clients. And yeah, have a wonderful. Oh, introducing Dawson. Yeah, hey Dawson, you've been asked to be introduced. Dawson is our Cobra Show Creator, full-time Cobra Show Creator developer. All kinds of awesome things on the Cobra Show Creator front coming. Great guy. So cool. All right. Thanks to everybody. I don't know what you guys are laughing at, but I don't know if I want to join the fun.
Certain customers are texting me or messaging me on Facebook, so I just can't help it. I do have another poll though.
Yeah, throw another poll up. Oh, a special edition faceplate. Did you just make that, Joel?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so thanks, everyone. We're going to be hanging out here. So if anyone wants to hang out or eventually you're going to get sick enough of us and want to leave. But anyway.
I think certain people will stick around until we actually kill it.
Yeah, that's true.
One time we went till like 2 in the morning.
No, we didn't.
You left.
Do you guys really up till you guys with customers?
I don't remember what time it was. There was like 6 people left.
Jason Carpenter, he was there.
Oh my goodness, was he really?
It was all about the porta potties.
We learned about him Yeah, porta potty launching rockets.
I'm gonna try to put my video back and see if I don't kill the entire.
Hey, there he is.
I'm here.
Yay.
Man, I was a buzzkill on the tech side of it today. I don't know what was going on.
You came through in the clutch with the firmware, though, so it
Only-
makes up for it.
Only a few people said no to the faceplate.
There we
You
go.
would have
Good
to
information.
have. You'd have to be on there. You know, you'd have to be. Just silk screen yourself on the faceplate.
You?
Not me. I don't want to be on there.
Oh, what does that mean? You want to be on there? You can be on there. We'll put your cat and your dog on it.
Oh, that's okay. That's acceptable.
We have the same cat, by the way.
Do you really? Yeah, my
Yeah.
cat's a menace.
I have 2 cats. One's not very smart, and one's pretty smart. Anyway. All right, guys. Any fun topics, or are we?
We've only lost 6 people so far, so
All right. Well,
a lot of
someone's
people are
got
in this for the long haul, apparently.
Yes.
to throw out a topic. All right. Thank you, Neil. What's the shelf life of the MTGs? We had a lot. We had a lot this year, not burning hot. You know, so I don't think that has to do with the shelf life, Neil. I don't know what kind of product that you're shooting with it, but the initiators, generally speaking, a little bit of word on the street is that they may not get as hot as just traditional E-Match, but I know generally speaking, they're a very reliable product. So I don't suspect that that's actually a shelf life issue, but maybe just a natural property of MTGs. I know early stages, they had tough time firing things like 9 on, like for consumer product, like getting enough heat to fire, to get into the lift charge of like a 9 on the board where there's a lot of like, you know, air in there and you don't have the best contact. So yes, Dan, the older wireless reprogrammer will still function with the new reprogramming software. We've had a couple of small issues with that, fairly small percentage of people that are having trouble, but there's workarounds. If you email us at help@cobrafiringsystems.com, we can assist within that and get your reprogrammer up and running. You running any problems? What upgrades are you working on the AudioBox? We're working on an AudioBox LiPo upgrade kit. About 4 times the battery life of the AA's and an LCD screen, digital LCD display on the AudioBox, which will be available as an upgrade kit on the unit for existing clients and obviously for new purchase. CobraCon 21 is up in the air. We'll have more information on that soon. Still, obviously, as a nation, we're trying to get through that, figure out what's going to happen. My audio connection is always XLR on my sound systems. What would be the best method to do SMPTE with the USB sound card and RCA cables without messing up the... So if you have a source sound system, you know, the USB sound card and the cable is really meant if you're using your computer or primarily with Cobra Show Creator, Jason. If you do have a professional sound system, you know, you could certainly have like maybe an XLR to RCA adapter to go into your 18R2. I know RCA isn't necessarily the most professional connector, but it's a bit of a standard that we've seen on a lot of other professional systems. I'm sure we may introduce like a mini XLR potentially into the 18R2, but right now it is RCA. You know, so if you know, again, using a laptop, using Cobra Show Creator absolutely works. It's a great solution, but for a true professional show, maybe having a different type of a sound source is potentially preferred. Hopefully that answered your question, Jason. And again, for anyone that we're asking, you just missed small time the LiPo for AudioBox, so that it is answered and on its way with an LCD screen on the unit as well. Retail price on the 6M. If you email us, David, on the 6M, that's going to be coming out shortly. But if you email us, David, we can give you a little bit more on the pricing. help@cobrafiringsystems.com. Thank you, Skip Martin. Thanks for coming. Good luck getting up at 3:30 a.m. Sorry, but good for you. You can't take me serious with my hat. I don't know what to say. I'm Mario. What are you guys laughing at? You're like,
You just said I don't know what to say. I'm Mario.
it's
It was funny.
funny. I'm Mario.
It's so funny.
When will DMX come into play? I'm understanding correctly. With this release, one channel will not work if plugged into a DMX controller. One channel will not work if plugged into the DMX controller. So SMPTE can be fed into a DMX system and Cobra at the same time. And you can put the audio on mono onto one of the channels and SMPTE onto another. Alternatively, the Cobra 18R2 could be used to control an audio box for a stereo output, which is another choice. We'll have more information on DMX sooner than later, but I can assure you it's in the works. Hopefully that answered things, Tony. All right, we've managed to bore probably about half the people so far.
Not true. We've only lost an additional 13.
Gotcha.
Still going strong. At this rate, we should make it till at least 1 o'clock.
1 in the morning. Actually, that's your time. Yeah, well, 6.0 is coming soon, Andrew. I know I can. All right. Okay. Well, I'm the only one talking, so you guys are all like doing your chat thing. Yes, Tony, LiPo for the remote's coming out as well. We mentioned that before. We actually have some in production right now that we're working on. So those are audio box, LiPo 18R2, LiPo audio box 6.0, DMX, all kinds of great things close to release.
You keep talking, we'll keep listening is what you
Oh, really? I'm going to start singing or something like that. I don't even know. All right. Well, I'll start with my life story.
Let's see the latest TikTok dances, Scott. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I need like my back. I got my scene. I need my background music. Sing, Scott. I will not sing. I can't sing. I won't sing. All right. Well, you guys can close this down. I'm good. So.
Right.
All right. Okay. So, all right, cool. Well, if you guys want to hang out, do you guys mind if I bounce? You guys are welcome
Not
to
at
chill.
all.
All right. I'm going to bounce. Thank you guys, everyone. Appreciate your time. Want to see our, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. All right.
Porta potty.
Bing, bing. Oh, all right. Is that, got it. All right. I'll see you guys. Zach's working it. That's awful. That's like a dad dance, Zach. That's terrible. I'm not even going to try to do that.
I'm in a chair. I can't really do it. Okay, come on.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, have a good night, guys. I will talk to you guys in the morning. I'll see the Cobra team in the morning, and I'll see our Cobra customers, I'm sure, at some point. So.
In your dreams.
All right. Buy lots of stuff on Black Friday, guys. It's coming up. All right. See ya. All right. Bye.
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 The chat knows it more than we do. He's gone. We can talk freely.